Now, in the onDestroy method, if we want to stop basically playing the method or playing the music, and on completion is run, and we call stop self there, it will automatically go to the onDestroy method. And now we need to release some resources or whatever you want to do in your onDestroy. So in this method, I'm going to test first again, if the media player, if our media player object is not equal to null, we know we still got a connection to the media player, as basically when we call onDestroy, when we call stop self there, when we're done with the whole process and we stop it, it goes to onDestroy. And now we want to make sure, is there still a media player object running in the background that uses up resources? And then at the same time, if it's not null, it means the media player is still active. So now we need to test, is it actually still playing? So we're going to call if media player dot is playing. If it is playing now, when we want to destroy this service now, then we should stop that media player from playing. So we're going to say media player dot stop, and that will stop the media player from playing. And then after that if statement, then we're going to say on this media player, we're going to call release. So now if you hover over release there, you can see it releases the resources associated with the media player object. It's considered good practice to call this method when you're done using the media player. So it just releases all of the memory it used. So remember, the onDestroy method runs when I call stop self, but also in the main activity, I can call stop service, which will also call onDestroy. And then onDestroy means if I go to my activity and I'm using the play button to play, and now I decide to stop it. So if I click the stop button, it will also then go to, or we can call stop service, which will also go to onDestroy. Checks if the media player is still active. Yes, it was. Is it still playing? Yes, it is still playing. So we stop it first, and then we release all resources. Okay, so now the next part that we're going to do is to go into the main activity now, because somewhere we must actually start this service. So I'm going to go to the main activity. And in the main activity, remember, we just made a link to that image view. And I'm going to declare a few variables here at the top also. We'll have a Boolean variable right at the top that's going to say music playing. And we're going to use this variable to change the whole time whether we're playing music or not. So I'm going to start off with music playing equals false. Now we already have the audio link there. And the next part, or the next thing we need there, is an intent. So I'm going to call this one, it's just a normal intent, but I'm going to call it service intent. This is the intent that we'll use to launch the service. Now if we go down after initializing the image view there, we can go to that image view just to make sure, and we're going to set the background resource. And to set that background resource, we're just going to go to r.drawable.one of the pictures that we use there. So it's in the drawable folder, and I want to use the plain one right at the start. So just to make sure that the plain one is, when we launch this activity again, whether it was taken away or whatever, we set it to play right at the start. So the play picture will show at the start. And let's set up that service intent. So that service intent will be a new intent. And then the first argument will just be the context. So you can either say main activity.this or just pass in this there if it's going to work, or get application context, or whatever you want to do. And then we're going to call the myPlaceService.class. So you can see that by just saying service intent equals new intent, this comma myPlaceService, just like you would do any other activity to start a specific activity. But now instead of calling start activity, we will call start service. So the intent stays the same. Right, so let's go to the method now. So if the user then clicks on the play button, then we want to first check if the button gets clicked, because this button can get clicked whether it's playing or not. So if it's playing and we click on it, it should show the play button. If it's not playing, like right at the start, it's going to show the play button. And when you click on it, it should start playing the music, and then it should also show the stop button. So let's just go into the main activity. So there's two ways that can actually run this one. It's when it's already playing or not playing. So the first one I'm going to check is if the music is not playing. So obviously at the start, we set this variable to false, which means not false is true. So the very first time you run this thing, it will go to this specific if statement. And then we're going to call a method play audio, which we're going to set up now. I'll show you now how to do that method directly from here. So we're going to call a method play audio to start that service basically and start playing the audio. And then we're going to say to that Ivy play stop, we're going to set the image resource to r.drawable dot, and now we're going to say stop there. So now if at the beginning when we run it, it's going to show the play button, but when I click it, it should start showing the stop button. So that's what I said there. And then we're going to set music playing to true because now the music is playing. So what will be the else part then? The else part will be if the music is playing when we click it, then it means when I click it, it should show the stop button first. And then if I click on the stop button, it should start showing the play button again. So then we're going to say stop. Let's call this method stop play service. We're going to create that method now. And we're going to say Ivy play stop dot set image resource. Oh, come on. There we go. Set image resource, and the image resource will be r.drawable.play again. And then we're going to say music playing should be false again. So I hope you understand the logic here. So if the music is not playing right at the start, it shows the play button. So if you click on the play button, it should start playing the music and set the picture to the stop button. And if you click on this button and it's currently music is currently playing, it is automatically showing the stop button then. So when we stop the music from playing, set the button to the play button again, and then set music playing to false. Okay, so that's basically what we do in the button or when we click on that button. Okay, so now after this, let's just go and create these two methods, or actually after the onCreate method, which will be outside there. So we're going to hover or just click Alt Enter, and it says create the method, and I'm going to say inside of the main activity, and on that one also Alt Enter. Let's just enter there. So on that one again, Alt Enter, create the method, main activity, and just click again. So there's the two methods now. So let's start with the play audio method. So now in the play audio method, we're going to use that service intent now. And to that service intent, remember this service intent will be used to start the myPlay service class. And remember in the myPlay service, in the onStart command, we said intent.getStringExtra. So now in the main activity, let's just see how to pass through this audio link now. So to pass through the audio link, I'm going to say service intent.putExtra. And then I'm going to give my data a name. So it's going to be audio link. And just make sure, because this name that you give it here, I'm just going to copy it here, must be the exact same name that I'm retrieving there. And I'm going to paste it there just to make sure the two are the same. Okay, so that's the name of the data, and the data itself will be this audio link that we declared there at the top. So I'm going to say audio link. And that's how I send through data then from the main activity to the play service as soon as I start the service. Then we'll start the service, but we'll do this in a try-catch block. So if there's something that goes wrong with starting this specific service. And this one will be a security exception. And I'm just going to use a toast there to display the exception, error, and then e.getMessage again. Right, and now we can start the service. So we're just going to call start service. And you can see that start service method accepts an intent. And the intent we called service intent. And that will start your service. And you can see no problems there because the start service, if you hover over it, just go up a bit. If you hover over it, you'll see right at the bottom, it says there, this one can throw a security exception, and that's the exception I tried to catch there, if there's any security exception. So in the play audio then, we just basically pass through the audio link. That's the one at the top. And how do we retrieve it the other side? We call start service here, which sends through the service intent. That service intent starts the myPlay service, and in the myPlay service, in onStart command, there's the intent. And on that intent, I call getStringExtra. This side I said put extra, so the other side, get string extra, and that's the name of the data, and it will retrieve the audio link. Okay, so that's playing the audio. Then to stop the service from playing, remember we're going to click the button to stop it from playing. So what do we want to do if we click then the button to stop playing the music? So very easy also. It's also going to be a security exception that we're going to catch here. So let's just do a simple try catch block there, and it's also a security exception. And I'm also going to show that toast error e.getMessage. And the only thing we need to do here is to call stop service. And then you can see it wants an intent name again. So I'm going to stop that service, and that service is defined inside of service intent, which means it will stop the myplay service. Okay, and then if you call stop service there, where's it going to go here inside of the service? It will automatically call on destroy. It will check if the media player is still active. Is it playing? If it is, it's going to stop it and then release all memory. Okay, so that's the stop service. So you start a service by calling start service, and you can stop the service by calling stop service. Okay, so let's see if this one runs now. I'm going to run it quickly. Okay, so now my application is running, but actually nothing happens when I play and stop because I forgot about one part, and that's the onPrepared method. So in your onPrepared method in your myplay service, we need to basically start playing. So we're going to say, you can see there's the media player MP. So we're just going to say there, if this media player, and I'm just going to put a not there. If it's not playing, then we will start playing it. So then we're going to just say media player dot start, and that will start the media player. So let's just run this application quickly and see if it runs correctly. Okay, so let's just see if we click on it now, if it starts playing. Now, it depends on your internet connection, how long it will start, or after how many seconds will it start playing, because this is streaming the music now. So let's just see how fast this happens. Okay, so there you can hear it start, the music starting playing. So now, if I want to stop the music from playing, you can see now the stop button started showing. If I click on it, you can see it stops the service, and then I can click again to play it. And I want to show you something now, because if I click on play again and it starts playing the music again, we can go and have a look at if I leave the song to play through the end. It's not a very long song. Is it going to actually stop this automatically? And I've got a very bad internet connection right now, so it takes quite a while for this thing to actually start playing. Okay, so there you can hear the music start playing again. So I'm going to leave the music now to basically run through the whole music clip, which is only a few seconds, and see if this actually changes now. So you can see there the music clip stopped, but my stop button is still showing. It's not showing the play button. So I think it's clear now to see if I click on stop, it starts showing play. And if I click on play, it will start the service. If I click stop again, it will stop the service. But what if we leave the music to play and we come back to the main activity to play something else, then the play button should show again. So in order to do that, we must basically, from the myplay service, when it gets to completing your music, just before we call stop self, we must update the main activities user interface. So how do we do that? And that's the last part for this video. So in order to do that, I'm going to create a new Java class, but it's not going to be a class. I'm going to change that now to an interface. And let's just call this one music stopped listener. So we're going to create our own interface there. Let me just see there, we can choose an interface there. So the kind is an interface, and we're going to say OK there, and there you can see your interface. So it's called public interface music stopped listener. And then I'm going to have just one method called void, and let's just call this one on music stopped. And that's the method that every class that implements this interface must have this method called on music stopped. Now in the main activity, we're going to let our main activity, it extends app compat activity, and I'm going to say implements, and I want to use that interface now. So it's the music stopped listener, and then you'll see it must have that method. So I'm going to use Alt-Enter there to implement the method, and we want to have that one method there, and there's the method at the bottom. So this is the method that will be called as soon as the music gets stopped. So we're going to go to the myPlay service now and see how we implemented that side. So from myPlay service, if we call on music stop, then we're going to say on that Ivy Play Stop, the image view, we're going to set the image resource to r.drawable, because now it's stopped playing again. So we want to start showing the play button again. And then after this, we're also going to set music playing to false again, because now the music has stopped. So that's the only implementation we need in the main activity. So let's go to my play service quickly. And right at the top, we'll have a variable there. And we're going to call this one private music stopped listener. And then let's just call this one music, let's just call it, music stopped listener, that's fine. And I'm also going to use a context variable there just to get the main activities context inside of, I'm just going to use the import class there. I need to have the context inside of the myPlay service, the main activities context. So in order to do that, I'm just going to quickly create another class there, and I'm going to call this one the application class. And that's the application class is basically the class that runs right at the start before your application even starts. So I'm just going to have an onCreate method there. Sorry, let me just go into, let's just say extends application first, and then it will have an onCreate method. Just go to, yes, there's the onCreate method. Right, and then inside of this class, I'm going to have a static variable here that I'm going to use. So I'm going to say public, let's just call this static, and it's going to be context. So I'm going to say context, Alt-Enter for your import, and I'm going to call it context as well. Okay, so that's the context. And now in order to make this application class actually to be an application class, you need to go to your manifest, and in the application tag somewhere there, you just need to have the Android name property there linked to your application class, which is that one. So that's the name of my application class, and there's my application class. So I'm basically saying in the application tag, this is the class that should run right at the start of my application, setting up some static variables or whatever you want to do. In this case, I'm setting up a context variable there. And then inside of the main activity, we can just set up that context variable quickly. So as soon as my onCreate starts there, somewhere there, we can just go and say on the application class, there's a method called context, or not a method, a variable called context, and I want to set that context to the main activity. So I'm going to say main activity.this, and well, if we can actually cast this to a context just to make sure, but this will be the context, then will be the main activity. So the variable context will basically now have a link to the main activity. So now let's just go back to my myPlay service. And actually, we don't need that context anymore because we can directly get it from the application class. Okay, so what we've done in the myPlay service class is to just set up this music stopped listener. Now, in order to set this one up, we're going to go into the onStart command, and maybe somewhere here, we'll just set it up. So it's going to be the music stopped listener. And I'm going to say equals, and I'm going to cast this now to a music stopped listener. And I'm going to add application class.context. And that's now basically getting a connection to the main activity. And the main activity is a music stopped listener because the main activity implements a music stopped listener. And that's why we can cast it to that specific one. Okay, so now we've got this music stopped listener is basically a connection to the main activity now. And in the main activity, there's a method called music stopped. And that's the only method we can call on this object called music stopped listener. Okay, so now where are we going to use this now? So if you go down in the onCompletion method, as soon as it stops playing, we want to basically call that method right here. So we'll just say on that object, music stopped listener dot, and you can see there's the method on music stopped. So what will happen now in the main activity? The main activity implements the music stopped listener, which means it must have this method on music stopped. In the main activity also, we set the context variable in the application class to the main activity. So in the MyPlay service, when we create a new instance of the interface, remember you can't create an object of the interface, but you can create an instance variable. And then by saying the main activity needs to get linked to this music stopped listener, we now have a connection to the main activity. And now on the main activity, we call the method. Where are we now? We call the method on music stopped. It will go to the main activity, call the method on music stopped, and it will set the play button again. Okay, I'm going to click on the play button again, and as soon as the music starts playing, I'm going to leave the music and see if when it stops, if it actually gets back to the play button. Okay, so there it starts playing. Now you can see that I can move away from the activity and the music is still playing. So it's something that plays in the background now because we're doing this in a service. So I can go outside of my activity and come back, and then it's still playing. If I click now on the stop button, it will stop. But let's see if it stops on its own now. And when it stops, you can see there the play button just came back. And that now happened because of this music stopped listening.